Welcome to the Happiness and Success After Illinois Tech podcast with the Illinois Tech alumni. We're so happy you're here, and we can't wait for you to be inspired from all these real-life stories of people that attended Illinois Tech, graduated, and found success. No matter your major, your background, or where you're from, success and happiness are possible, and here are the stories to prove it. All right, welcome to this episode, everyone. My guest this week is Paul Gavin. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you. I know that you attended Illinois Tech. I'll let you explain when you attended and what you studied here. And so let's just tell the audience about your experience at Illinois Tech, when you attended, what you studied, and what you're doing now.
Yeah, so my situation is a little unique. I did my undergrad at St. Norbert College in Green Bay, and I was in the finance industry for around 17 years, trading in and out of the futures market and the options market. And as most Illinois Tech students know, that entire industry turned very automated and algorithmic. When I first started, it was people standing in the trading pits and using their hand signals, and then it moved to the computers. And I realized that in order to keep up with the changing dynamic of the trading in the finance industry, I needed to learn more about writing code and algorithms and automation of these trading strategies. So I took some classes at Illinois Tech, and it was fantastic. Algorithmic finance, I learned so much about writing code in C++, which, as most students know, that's probably one of the more difficult and challenging languages out there. But it was fantastic. It was eye-opening. And now I'm in the wealth management side. I work for a firm called Symphony Financial, where we kind of incorporate a little bit of the automation, but more of the long-term holistic approach to finances as well. So it's been great to be a part of the short-term trading investment side and now the long-term trading investment side, and to see how what I learned at Illinois Tech really played a role in both sides of those finance industries.
So algorithmic finance, those are the classes you took?
Yeah, yep. I don't know the exact name of them, but they were taught by Professor Van Vliet, and it was a little bit over my head initially, but I'll be honest with you, I work with some great students in my class who really helped me out a lot, and it started to catch on, and just like anything, you got to practice, and started to get the hang of it.
It's so funny. It's a common theme with I'm finding with the students in Illinois Tech. They'll say like it was over my head, or I didn't feel like I was smart enough to be in the class or whatever. But then there's always a couple people like you just mentioned that are pretty smart in the class, and they end up guiding you a little bit, helping you out, obviously, along with the professor. But there's always a couple people that just seem to get it no matter what. It comes easily. And I told my boys that the same thing. I'm like, find those people and see if you can help each other. They can help you with one thing and you can help them with something else.
Exactly. And I found 2 or 3 of those people who, they've been doing this, in high school and even grade school. And wow. At the time when I started at Illinois Tech, I was 35 years old and with very little automated and algorithmic experience. When I was doing my undergrad, it was all about kind of basic fundamentals of economics and not a lot of computer science involved. Mm-hmm. But now those two industries, the investment finance industry and the computer science industry, have merged essentially. Yes. And some of the biggest trading firms and the biggest banks in the world have automated trading strategies now. And, like I said, back in the day, it was the trading pits at the Board of Trade downtown in the New York Stock Exchange. And now those trading pits are gone. It's sad, but, just like all things in life, we progress, and technology has played a big role in that.
We progress, exactly. It's like all things. What do they say? Literally constant in life is change, and technology, obviously. Yeah, exactly. Technology has a lot of great, obviously benefits, and being progressive is beneficial to our society. And obviously, those people that were doing that before and didn't want to do the computer side like you did ended up probably doing something else. But at the end of the day, there's no stopping the technology. It's here to stay. It's going to continue growing. So I always feel like if there's something that around that you're resisting and that's really not going to change, it's just best to embrace it and figure out how you can adapt to it, because it's not going anywhere and it's not going to benefit your life to keep resisting something that's obviously happening.
Exactly. And there were a lot of traders in the trading pits who tried to fight it and try to resist it and said, no, we're not going there. We're always going to be in the pits. We're always going to be writing our trades down and carting them up and whatnot. And, that's just a losing battle.
Yeah.
And you just have to adapt or find something else. And it did turn into a technological arms race, essentially, just with who had the fastest machines, the fastest servers, who could write the best code. So it turned to a very competitive industry where the old guard who would be standing in the pits, they didn't want to compete. They couldn't compete. And, they found something else to do, which is totally fine and normal. But
Yep. Yeah. So true. So true. Okay. So, you have, what did you end up getting your degree in?
So economics,
Okay.
I got my degree in. Yep. And so
Okay.
kind of very general, the way I learned about the economy and the fundamentals in the economy, very different from what I learned at Illinois Tech. But yeah,
Okay.
economics has been my kind of the backbone of my education.
I have an undergrad in economics and marketing, actually, and I'm not doing any work in that, but it was a good business education. And then ended up getting a master's in teaching, which has got me into this developmental, leadership development career. But it's just interesting how it can apply. You don't have to, typically with engineering, you get an engineering degree, you're going to do that work. But when it's business related, usually it doesn't have to be tied exactly to the next role that you have. It's important for all of the undergrads and grad and business students that we have at Illinois Tech, because their world is a little bit different than the engineers of Illinois Tech and engineering degrees, but computer science too. It can be a lot of different things. Yeah.
That's a great point, Julie. And I'm glad you mentioned, changing careers, because that's kind of what I did in my mid 30s when I left the short-term trading side and moved to the long-term trading side. I just think it's important that the students at Illinois Tech and any student realizes that career change is going to come, and it can be scary sometimes. But when you're in your early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, you're still evolving. And even in your 30s and 40s, you're evolving. So don't ever be afraid to make a change if you feel it's right. I did at age, I believe I was 35, 36, when I went to the long-term wealth management side of finance, which is a vast departure from what I did on the short-term trading side. But I'm glad I did it. And I would really, my advice to the young kids at Illinois Tech would just be, don't feel like you have to stay in what you're doing right now. If down the road you don't enjoy it for whatever reason, you're going to be so well prepared with your education that you can pretty much do everything, because everything, Julie, it's not just trading that's become automated, it's everything. All we hear about is AI right now. So the education they're getting right now can spill over into so many different industries.
Totally agree. I totally agree. And I'm sure people, I know people that graduated. Most of the people I know that graduated with a certain degree aren't even doing the work in that degree. And actually my son that graduated from Illinois Tech, my older one, he has a material science engineering degree. He's doing mechanical engineering, but the concepts are helping him in his role. And a lot of it was familiar and supplemental to what he's doing. So it's more of a well-rounded education, but no matter what you end up studying, it's going to help you in your career. And it's important, like you said, to say, okay, you had said, like, don't be afraid to change something if it feels right. Even if you are like about to graduate from Illinois Tech and you want to change something or add a class or tweak something a little bit, I encourage them as well to do that, because you never know. If you said it, if it feels right, you should probably go do it. There's something that's telling you to make the change, to make the shift. If it's one extra class, if it's one extra semester, whatever ends up being, if something's telling you to do that, you should do that. Or you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and that tunnel is not the thing that you want to go. It's okay to make a right turn or a left turn. and adjust your path a little bit, because you're getting that inkling or instinct for a reason, and everything you're doing up until that point is going to help you into the next phase anyways. It's kind of what I want to say.
And Julie, I'm sure you and I were both there. We had friends there when we were in college who, we used to think changing your major was the end of the world, and you had to, it was this catastrophic thing. He's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And you look back and how young 19, 20, 21 years old is, and how, hey, that's why you go to college. That's why you go to grad school. It's why you learn at a young age to see what you really want to do. Nothing has to be set in stone at that age. So I think it's important to really ingrain that in these kids' heads.
I agree, not set in stone. And I'm sure you've had conversations with your peers about this. I know I have in my peers. It's very, and I have kids that are in their 20s now. It's very unrealistic to think that you're going to know at 17 or 18 years old what you want to do for the rest of your life. It's going to change multiple times, probably. The students I talk to that are the most stressed are the ones that are like, I don't like what I'm studying, but I'm afraid to change it. Like, because of my family, because I committed to this, because of whatever. And I'm like, this is your time and this is your money. You should change it if you want. And anything's possible if you're going on the right path and you're following your instincts. But if you do the thing that you know is not going to bring you any happiness and complete it anyways, you're the one who has to live that life for the rest of your life. You're the one that has to finish that education, pay for that education, and then go do that work you don't want to do. Well, what's the point of that? What's the point in being here if you're not going to be studying what you're interested in and what's going to really get you excited for your career? I mean, there's no sense in doing it, but it's hard for a lot of people to hear if they made that mistake. But it doesn't mean it's not forever. It's not set in stone, like you said.
Yeah, and it does not mean failure at all. Right. In no way, shape, or form does leaving a job or changing a major or pivoting in your career mean that you failed at what you were doing. It takes guts to do that, and I commend anyone that does if it just doesn't feel right. So point being, don't ever think you're too old to make a change, because you're not.
Yes, totally agree. Okay, so now you're doing what you love. Is there anything that you wish? I know you're talking about doing a startup. We can talk about that in a minute. Is there anything that you wish you'd known a little bit sooner when you were studying, or would you have changed what you know now? Would you change anything along your path, like studying and education-wise and graduate school and stuff? Would you change any of that?
Yes, I would have. I think my entire experience as a trader, it was an evolution, and I learned every year, and there was a lot of stress involved. But Julie, if I were to change one thing, I probably would have learned more and became more acclimated to the algorithmic and automated side of the industry, which I would say was starting to take shape in around 2006, 2007, 2008, with some basic algorithms and code that were, if X does this and Y does this, do this and Z, some really basic stuff. I wish I had kind of piggybacked the company I was at and learned more about that, except I kind of stayed with, my visuals, my point and click, and my market acumen. And that guided me for 17 years in the business, and it was great. But I do wish that I was, I don't know if ignorance is the right word. I think I trusted my own instincts too much, and I didn't realize that this was really starting to take over. I eventually came to that conclusion. I'd say it's maybe in 2014, 2015, that's when I realized and took classes at Illinois Tech and really started to learn about that side. But I wish I had done that sooner. The writing was on the wall. You can see that. And I was already trading on the screens, but I was kind of what they call point and click, where you're just using your visuals and you're clicking the mouse and, you're reading the markets. I didn't have any predetermined code or algorithms or automation set up at the time. That didn't occur till around 2015. So kind of wish I, was around 6-7 years sooner on that. But
okay.
Yeah.
So what I hear you saying is that you were guided with your intuition, which I think is always helpful and useful and should be listened to, but also see the writing on the wall and look at the future trends. Because if you had noticed them or were a little bit more focused on, or maybe half and half, intuition and then what's coming, what's changing, probably reading about it and reading, I would guess, not necessarily journals, but like just following what's happening in that world, you would have seen the trends earlier, and you probably would have changed, modified what you were doing sooner.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
I'll say this as well. One of the best things, and this is probably going to be one of the most important things I say about this, one of the best things about automated or algorithmic trading is that it does take the emotion out of trading and investing. You sometimes, if the market doesn't go your way, as human beings, we can have this mentality where we, might get upset. We might do things outside of our normal realm,
yeah,
and that can lead to more losses. And I've seen that happen to other people. I've been close to trading that way, and I just have to stop myself.
smart.
The best part of automated and algorithmic trading isn't the money you make on a trade. It's the money it stops you from losing it when it
Mm,
takes the emotion out of it. So I found that to be one of the biggest benefits of my automated trading systems when I
smart,
finally was adapting to it. So it's
smart,
more about the defense than the offense with automation.
smart. Okay, so what's the best advice you would give a college student entering the workforce or looking for that first role that's really aligned to helping them align to what they really want to be doing? What would you say to them?
I would say I would say to be prepared for understanding the basic economic fundamentals, how the Federal Reserve works, interest rates, inflation, the things we read about in the news right now, and to merge that with automation and algorithmic trading. I think if I think it's rare to find a student, and you can ask any big trading firm, bank, or any institution out there that can find kind of that where both of those come together, where hey, this person understands the markets, but they can write some really great code, and they got some really great ideas too on, well, if X does this, Y does this, Z does this. So I would really say to these kids, if you can just put those two together, understanding how the markets work, and then on a granular level to be able to write the code to participate on market movements on the upside or the downside, I think that is really valuable. I would also say that understand a basic knowledge of in the finance side, understand a basic knowledge of stock options. I think options are there's very few people, even in my industry right now, that understand options and how to trade options and know how they work. A lot of people just, they think the market just goes up and they want to buy and then ride it out. But to be able to capture movements when the market goes down and to participate and make money on down moves with options, I think that would really be beneficial. And I think anyone looking to hire someone would really be impressed that someone even has a basic knowledge of stock options. I think that'd be very, very helpful.
So what would you say? So it's good for the finance and the business majors. If you were to talk to any major, people graduating from Illinois Tech, would you say basically, if I can summarize what you just said about the financial world, is you have the technical skills and then you have the bigger picture strategy and can mesh those two and understand how they affect your actual job. If it is kind of for coding, if you're doing something more engineering type, but if you can think about the business side of it, those are the people that are really going to add a lot of value. Would that be right?
Exactly. And I didn't mean to
Yeah.
pigeonhole the conversation to finance only, but exactly the technical skills with ideas and strategy that's an unstoppable force in any industry. If you can bring ideas to the table, but also be able to implement them through code or algorithms, I think that is just a rare find, and any company would be lucky to have someone like that.
I tell the students all the time, it's like, so you're going to have this awesome degree, but you're going to be competing with everyone else that has the same degree if they're looking for a very specific role. So I always say, what else you got? What else can you add? How else can you add value to that one role with that degree? And it is through the soft skills, through the leadership skills, through the business mind, through the intellect, all of that other stuff that's going to be able to really add value to the team and the company, and show a sense of maturity and professionalism that is not necessarily every other person that's going to be applying for that role getting out of college, at 21, 22, 23, whatever it is. So I always talk about that, and I can't accentuate that enough, because it really is the difference between you and the 50 or the 200 other people that are going to be applying. You can talk about it in that way, how it affects business, then that employer is going to be a lot more curious about interviewing you and wanting to have you on your team, because you're thinking about the big picture and not just tunnel focus and, okay, I can write the code, or I can do this technical thing, and isn't that great? It's like, no, what else do you have to offer?
Yeah, and don't be afraid to speak up. Speak your mind. People want to hear. If you're at Illinois Tech, you're pretty smart and you're doing a lot right, and you clearly have the technical skills. But in a meeting with a group, don't be afraid to speak up. And if you have ideas or strategic ideas that can add value to the company, that's what people really want to hear. To merge that with the technical skills, like I said, that's just that's something that can't be beat.
It's great advice. And it's also something that I've learned probably in the last 10 years, especially in my career, is that they hired you for a reason. They hired you because they want your skills and they want your personality, your strengths, everything that comes along with you. And when younger people especially, will say, like, I don't know if I should speak up, like you said, or I'm not sure if they want to hear. They want to hear. They would not be paying you a salary if they didn't think what you had to say was valuable. You're supposed to be there. That's why you got hired. And so remember that every time you're wondering about should you or should you not speak up, that's the whole reason you're there, is because you're adding value to the team, and what you have to say is important. And you never know what that thing is going to be and how it's going to help someone else. But that's a great lesson. Do it earlier, and don't have you don't have to be this person that thinks everything you say is right. But if you're asked, speak up. That's the whole point in having that role, because you have something important to add to it.
Completely agree. Exactly.
Yeah. So tell everyone what you're doing now and how they can get a hold of you, learn more about your work and your startup that you're involved in.
Yeah. So as a side project, I don't sleep often, and I'm very motivated. And my mind's going in a million different directions. And I think the students at Illinois Tech are the ones who I would love to talk to on this. I'm creating a social media startup company that is a complete departure from what we're used to and what we're inundated with the Facebooks and the TikToks and the Instagrams. And I think everyone knows that there's enough issues with those. So I wanted to create, and I'm in the development phase right now, probably around 2 or 3 months away from having a beta version ready. But think of it sort of a LinkedIn for high school and college students, where they can put themselves completely out there with their accolades, their awards, their achievements, and have a social media aspect to it, where there aren't any online validations through comments or likes or anything like that. So, Julie, I'm trying to get rid of the online popularity contest that social media has become. And instead, I want to give these young, hardworking kids a platform to really showcase who they are and how can they be found by either colleges or corporations or hiring agencies or any university out there. Because I think it's so challenging on both sides for not only these kids to find good jobs and find something that they love, but for the businesses to find the best help for what they're looking for. And sure. I think that there's a major disconnect out there, that there's not a social media site out there or any platform out there that really fills that gap, where you merge kind of this online resume, this video resume, this personal portfolio, call it, of these students. I don't even like to call it social media, Julie, because I know it's got such a bad rap, as it should, but it's almost a student's or a person's personal portfolio of what they've accomplished in life, so that any school, university, or hiring agency or business can just have a complete, transparent shot of who this person is, and can bypass the resumes and the multi-interviews and whatnot. So that's kind of that's the high level version, but yeah, and I would love to talk to anyone at Illinois Tech if they're interested to learn more just about even testing it out, or seeing how it works and whatnot. But yeah, I think that would be fantastic. It's exciting. Yeah, we'll see what comes of it.
How can they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me through my email, Gavin. That's P as in Paul, Gavin, Gavin, at Clybourne.com, KLYBOURNE.com.
Awesome. All right. That sounds cool. I'm excited to hear more about it. And I'm sure what we talked about today is going to help some people. And I'm excited to see what you do. And it sounds really cool. So congratulations.
Yes. Well, Julie, I really appreciate you letting me come on and talk. And it was great talking to you. And, look forward to hearing from some of the students.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
All right.
Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Julie.
Take care. Thanks for listening, everyone. Check out the Illinois Tech Connect platform. It's the official networking site for Illinois Tech alumni. It's operated by Illinois Institute of Technology Alumni Association with help from Career Services. The aim of the platform is to connect our entire alumni community to provide a space for communication, networking, and other opportunities. Also, join the Illinois Tech Career Services group on LinkedIn and learn about all things career-related. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Finally, as an alum, whenever you need career guidance or advice, you're always welcome to connect to the Career Services Department, make an appointment with a career coach, and take advantage of this lifelong resource available to all alumni. We can't wait to help you, and more importantly, we can't wait to see what you do.